Welcome to the live streaming platforms of the Tribune. Joining me today is sports editor from the Tribune, Rohit Mahajan. Today we will be
Hi.
discussing with him how India seems to hold an advantage on the second day of the fourth test between England and India.
Right.
Rohit, let's begin with the performances of Pant and Washington. What do you have to say about their performances?
Yeah, you're right. India hold a clear and maybe decisive advantage. They lead by 89 runs with 3 wickets in hand, and Washington Sundar is batting well. He's on 60 odd 60. So clearly, India hold the advantage, and with the wicket likely to deteriorate further over the next few days. I'm not sure whether it will last all 5 days,
Mm.
but the wicket is going to deteriorate and it's going to get tougher and tougher to bat on. So, in that context, the innings that Pant played, I think it's extremely significant for this match and also for India's hopes of reaching the World Test Championship
Hmm.
final. So I think that it's a very significant innings, and you have to look at how he paced his innings. He began in a fairly defensive mode, and remember he's a very attacking batsman, very impetuous kind of batsman who loves to play all kinds of strokes, and he played very cautiously. And there were a few opportunities or maybe quarter chances that England got of him, but but he managed to survive. And when he was set, and when he figured out that India was sort of safe and beyond England's total of 205, the way he attacked was really extremely impressive. And I think the complexion of the game changed very quickly when the new ball was taken after 80 overs.
Huh.
At that stage, India led only by about 28 runs. Then suddenly, over the 4 or 5 overs, there were a flurry of boundaries, and in 4 overs they scored, I think, 26 runs, and at one shot that Pant played of James Anderson, which was a reverse sort of slap over the slips, that was really fantastic to watch. And Pant is a batsman who really does not care for records, which he again displayed once more by hitting a six to reach his 100. So that's a very refreshing sort of attitude, which reminds us of Virender Sehwag, who never cared about his centuries. We've seen in the past that uh, Indian batsmen or batsmen of any country, they sort of slow down when nearing a big landmark. Pant doesn't do that.
Hmm.
Sehwag never did that. And so Pant's innings is very important in the context uh, as I said, this game. And let's just look at his record over the last few months, right from the tour of Australia. He's got some really good, significant innings for us, including the 89 not out in Brisbane in the fourth innings, which won India the match. He got a 91 in Chennai again, a very important innings. And then, of course, the century today. So all credit to Pant for his batting, and I think he may have played a match-winning knock, though it's never very safe to be so certain about just after the second day of the match. But he may have played a match-winning knock.
There's no doubt that Pant played his best, the best that he could have done today. But what I wanted to ask you was, do you think the match could have gone out of hands after Ashwin's wicket?
Yeah, definitely. So in that context, we need to look at and admire Washington Sundar's performance as well. As we discussed, they added 113 runs
Yes.
in
Together,
in
Washington and Pant, they had 113 runs.
yeah. So that was a very significant partnership in the context of the whole game. Um, and when Pant uh, when Ashwin was dismissed, the score was 146, and India was still trailing England by nearly 60 runs. So, and personally, I really did not expect this kind of a fight back on this difficult surface. Um, England, I think we need to give them credit for the way they bowled, especially Stokes. Uh, he got Kohli with a very good ball, and Kohli was surprised by the sudden bounce that he got
Exactly.
on this track.
Nobody
Yes,
nobody expected him to get. Nobody expects him to get out at zero.
yeah. It's I mean, it's not really a very common occurrence. Though this has happened for the second time in this series.
Yeah.
Um, but that was a very surprising delivery, which Stokes bowled by using a lot of strength and extracting bounce from this wicket, which is not easy on this wicket. And um, then Rahane also fell with a dodgy stroke outside off, and Pujara had obviously fallen earlier to the left arm spinner. So, and of course, Rohit played another good innings, and uh, I've over the last few months I've been skeptical about his temperament for Test cricket, but I think it's displayed once again that on Indian tracks is very good, and he played 144 balls for his 49, which shows that he was patient, he trusted his defense, and and he did try to break the shackles at one point, and he did get a few boundaries at one point, but again a very good innings, and as you say. That partnership of 113 was very significant. Um, and yes, India could have been in huge trouble if
Hmm.
Sundar had fallen earlier, though, of course, Axar Patel is also a decent batsman. He also could have contributed. I mean, there are a lot of ifs and buts, but that was a significant partnership.
Rohit, tell me, the match in the beginning seemed to be a bit slow, but then it picked up pace really quick. Do you
Yeah,
expect
yeah.
something like this to happen in a test match? Because in Chennai match also we saw the pace in the beginning was very slow, but it picks up later in the match. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, you know what happens when you have Pujara in the middle. Now that's Pujara's method, and it's worked brilliantly for him over the years. That he tires out the bowlers, and he allows the other batsmen to get the runs. That he just sticks to the wicket for hours or sessions and bats on and on and on without really hurrying on with his scoring. Um, and he's got big runs with that method as well, big innings as well. Though he's not been very productive in terms of runs over the last few months, but we should never discount the fact that it was his innings in Australia, in both Sydney and Brisbane, which tired out the batsmen,
Hmm.
the bowlers, and which enabled the other bowlers to score freely. So yes, when Pujara is around, the scoring rate is generally a little low. And for a change today, Rohit Sharma also was playing more cautiously than
Hmm.
he usually does. So it was a bit slow, and you have to give credit to again England. The really lion-hearted effort by both Anderson and Stokes. Um, and so yes, it was a bit slow. Then again, when you talk about Pant, when he comes in, exciting things begin to happen. And though he was, as I said earlier, he was cautious to begin with, but things are always exciting when he's around. There could be an edge over through the slip or the gully region, or a sudden flurry or strokes, as we saw later in his innings. And his strike rate overall, 85 plus, is again very good on this surface. On this surface, people were struggling to score runs, and he played so freely, um, and that leads to the contrast between the first session, the early part of the day, and the later stage of the match. So yes, there was this contrast in action.
What do you think India's strategy should be now, given that the pitch has been dodgy for both spinners and pacers? How do you think
Yeah,
India should proceed now?
Yeah, you know what? Strategy is, in these circumstances is always simple. Try to get as many runs as possible, and so that you have a significant lead, which which does a couple of things. It obviously puts you in great advantage in terms of overall match position. It also allows you to put in close fielders, and it puts pressure on the batsman. So strategy is very simple from here on. You hope that your tail will wag. Ashwin, sorry, Akshar Patel can bat, and we have Ishant, who's a very
Hmm.
tenacious batsman. He's not a very skillful batsman, but he's a very tenacious and big-hearted guy who puts a price to his wicket. And then you have Mohammad Siraj, who can land a few
Yeah,
lusty
right.
blows as well. So you would hope, Kohli would hope uh, to extend the lead to as much as possible. He would not put a number to it. Only 2 days have passed in this test match. There's a lot of time to be for this match to be played in. So he would want his batsman to go on and on and on. But realistically, he would be happy with anything between 325 and 350, which would give him a lead of maybe up to 140 runs, 130 runs.
This was all about India's performance. Rohit, tell me whose performance from the England side impressed you the most, and what did you think of the bowling performance of him?
Yeah, you know what? England, they had strengthened their batting by including an extra batsman in this test match, and they also brought back Dom Bess. Uh, but clearly he's a young guy, and let's not be too critical of him. But clearly he needs um, to raise his game. Maybe it's the pressure. He did fairly well in Sri Lanka before India, and so he leaked a lot of runs from one end, which again forced uh, Captain Joe Root to bring himself on.
Hmm.
So the main three bowlers were Anderson, Stokes, and Leach. Um, Overall, I would say that their spinners were not quite up to the mark, and they were not really up to the challenge. Um, Best bowled too many loose deliveries. Jack Leach did try his best. He got a couple of wickets, but for me, the most impressive bowling was by Anderson and Stokes, which says a lot about England's spin options on this
Hmm.
tour. And in fact, the spinners should have been much more effective on this wicket. In terms of strategy, again, they wish to bowl India out as soon as possible tomorrow, and then in their second innings, try to get a big score. Again, huge challenge, but these are Test cricketers, and uh, and they are expected to rise to the challenge.
Rohit, like you said, India's strategy should be to make as many runs as possible on a pitch like this. Would you say the same for England?
Yes, of course. They are facing a huge deficit already, 89 runs, the lead that they have conceded. And if India add, say, 30, 20, 30, 40 more runs, that number would swell to at least 110, 120.
Hmm.
So the England first need to wipe that out, the deficit, and then score a significant amount of runs, so that they make India bat again and set India a target of maybe at least 150, at least 100, to give their bowlers something to bowl at. And these targets in the fourth innings can be tricky on Indian wickets. So again, that's that story is still a little bit far away. But first, they would need to bowl out India quickly, and then wipe out the deficit, and then set up a challenging target for India. Easier said than done. So,
Let's see what happens tomorrow. We all can only wait and just see what happens. Thank you so much for joining us today, Rohit. This is all we
thank you.
have for today. We'll keep you updated with more information and with more inputs from our sports editor, Rohit Mahajan. Thank you very much for joining in.